You've been going to the gym for weeks and working your tail off. You could see it in your sweat and tired muscles. But the scale hasn't budged for some reason. Worse, the number on the dial has been gradually increasing. Be sure to watch the video in its entirety to find out why exercise won't make you thin. Suppose weight reduction boils down to a simple calculation of calories in versus calories out. In that case, it's logical to believe that you can burn off those additional calories in the gym and lose weight without changing your diet. However, research has started to indicate that we should evaluate this worldview with more significant skepticism. The one thing that you need to pound into your brain is that exercise is not the only thing that will help you lose weight. And if you are not following a good and healthy diet, you won't be able to lose weight. Diet versus exercise. Regular exercise can help prevent or manage various health problems, including cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, and arthritis. However, losing weight isn't the most important of exercise's numerous advantages. Rather, concentrating on the first half of the calories in, calories out equation might be the most efficient way to lose weight. People typically lose much more weight from caloric restriction than from exercise, simply because the caloric expenditure with your typical exercise regime, 30 minutes most days of the week, doesn't translate to very much weight loss. A calorie deficit of 3,500 calories per week, or 500 calories per day, is required to lose 1 pound per week. This can be accomplished by nutrition, activity, or a mix of the two. Diet and exercise, however, do not appear to be equally helpful. Diets may be more successful than exercise, since exercising would need more activity and effort to achieve a 500 to 700 calorie deficit. To put that in perspective, a 155-pound individual would burn around 500 calories in an hour of high-impact aerobics or 90 minutes of 4.5 mile-per-hour walking. To put it another way, don't anticipate much from those quick gym visits. Someone who began exercising for 30 minutes practically every day would lose around a pound in a month. That would not be very encouraging for most individuals attempting to reduce weight. Can exercise make you gain weight? Throughout a 12-week fitness program that included 30 minutes of fast treadmill walking 3 times per week, researchers followed 81 inactive overweight women. Surprisingly, getting more active didn't help most women lose weight. More than half gained weight. Over the course of 6 months, researchers tracked 200 overweight men and women who were involved in a supervised aerobic exercise program. The participants in the study discovered that they compensated for the calories they lost by eating more. As a result, several individuals either did not lose weight or gained weight. Is working out a waste of time? Doing exercise alone can help you lose weight, but there are certain limitations. According to some research, exercise alone can induce a calorie deficit substantial enough to cause weight reduction. However, the requisite intensity and time commitment, roughly an hour per day, might be brutal to maintain for the typical individual. Most people will have difficulty exercising for 1 hour at a moderate level every day to achieve the same weight loss as a conventional diet. When reducing weight, most health specialists advise using both calorie restriction and exercise. However, exercise may be more beneficial in maintaining weight loss once we've lost it. According to recent research, exercise is more important than food in maintaining significant weight reduction. Benefits of exercises. Remember that the health advantages of a balanced diet and exercise routine go far beyond a number on the scale, regardless of your weight or fitness objectives. Even if you don't drop a single pound, eating healthier and exercising may enhance your health. Obese people's risk of cardiovascular disease and diabetes can be reduced by eating a good diet and exercising moderately, regardless of whether they lose weight. And while it's a contentious notion, some academics believe it's possible to be big yet fit. In other words, your exercise level, independent of weight, may significantly impact your general health. According to a new study on how exercise impacts our metabolism, most of us burn less than 72 calories for every 100 calories we anticipate burning due to exercise. Therefore, simply shutting your lips is a more effective exercise than jogging. According to research, our bodies compensate for at least a quarter of the calories we burn during activity, undermining our efforts to reduce weight through exercise. The findings also demonstrate that overweight persons experience caloric compensation, making weight reduction through exercise much more difficult for them. According to a study, calorie compensation differs from person to person, and understanding how a person's metabolism reacts to exercise might be the key to maximizing exercise for weight loss. In principle, as we all know, exercise aids weight reduction tremendously. Our muscles contract when we move, requiring more energy to stimulate the body. The quantity of energy necessary varies from person to person, but we must generally expend more calories than we consume on any given day to lose weight. However, this is an uncommon occurrence. Several studies have revealed that most people who begin a new fitness program lose weight more slowly than predicted based on the number of calories burned during the workout, even if they adhere to a tight diet. Several researches published in recent years have found that increased exercise does not always imply a higher daily calorie expenditure. However, because measuring metabolic activity in humans is complicated and expensive, few large-scale investigations have attempted to determine how much our bodies compensate for calories burned when on the move. Several scientists chose to investigate what happens to our metabolism when we exercise in the new research. They used information from 1,754 people, including their physical measurements and basal energy expenditure, on how many calories they burn just by existing, even if they're usually on the sofa. Therefore, the researchers determined if the calories expended during an activity boosted individuals' daily energy expenditure as predicted, or if people burn substantially more calories as they move more using statistical models. However, researchers discovered that they did not burn any extra calories. Most people appeared to burn only around 72% of the calories they should throughout their usual daily activities. However, another piece of data revealed that energy compensation levels have increased among those with relatively high amounts of body fat. These individuals are more likely to compensate for 50% or more of the calories burnt by exercise. It's worth noting that the study didn't look at people's everyday dietary habits. It was only concerned with energy expenditure and how our bodies appear to be able to compensate for some of the calories expended during exercise by lowering biological activity elsewhere in the body. The idea is that you earned what you eat after working out, whereas in reality, if you want to lose weight, you'd be better off not working out and eating less. Jean Mayer, a well-known French-American nutritionist, was the first to make the connection between exercise and weight loss in the 1950s. Until then, the idea that physical activity might help you lose weight was unpopular in the scientific world. In the 1930s, a famous expert had persuaded doctors that keeping patients on bed rest was more successful. Mayer's groundbreaking research on rats, newborns, and schoolgirls showed that the less active a person was, the more likely they become overweight. The phrase, becoming fit, grew to represent more than just living a healthy lifestyle. It also meant having a leaner, meaner physique, laying the groundwork for a flourishing gym business. Recent research data revealed that a vigorous gym session is less beneficial than a mild exercise in weight reduction. Evidence from a research team suggests that moderate exercise such as low-intensity ambulation, i.e. walking, can help burn calories without triggering a caloric compensation effect. In other words, without making you reach for a snack as soon as you finish. One experiment demonstrated that merely standing instead of sitting burned hundreds of calories each day without boosting hunger hormones in the blood. The basic problem is that while it's true that exercise burns calories and that you must burn calories to lose weight, exercise has another effect. It can stimulate hunger. That causes us to eat more, which in turn can negate the weight loss benefits we just accrued. Exercise, in other words, isn't necessarily helping us lose weight. It may even be making it harder. Research has revealed that it is more difficult for women to lose weight than men because women's bodies are more effective at storing fat. This might be one explanation for a multi-billion-pound weight loss business geared almost exclusively at women. Overweight men and women were tracked while walking on treadmills in one test, and the women's blood levels of insulin reduced as hunger hormones rose, but the men showed no such change. It appears that women have a more challenging time losing weight than males. Let us know your thoughts on this theory in the comments.